The unearthing. The wind moved like whispers across the red desert of Tau 13. The sun hung low, painting the endless dunes with orange fire. Dr. Ilara Voss stood alone beside her small dig site, her shadow stretching long across the sand. She brushed the dust from her faceplate, breathing slow, her eyes locked on the object half buried before her. It was metal, smooth and cold, not like any stone or wreck she had seen before. For years, she had searched forgotten worlds for traces of lost civilizations, but this time something felt different. The scanner on her wrist beeped again and again, showing energy readings older than anything in the database. Her assistant drone, Rix, hovered beside her shoulder, its lights blinking soft blue. "Dr. Voss, the material is unknown," it said. "Composition 92% titanium, 8% unidentified alloy, energy core dormant but active beneath layers." Ilara frowned. "That can't be right," she whispered. "This world was never colonized." She knelt, brushing away the sand carefully. The metal stretched deeper, wider, shining faintly under the sun. It looked like the curve of a hull, curved edges smooth as glass, symbols etched across its surface in lines that glowed faintly blue. Rix projected a hologram, scanning the markings. The symbols rearranged, forming a string of characters, human military script, letters burned by time but still visible. Ilara's heart skipped when she read them aloud. Code name, Valor 01. Her breath caught inside her helmet. "Valor 01, she whispered. "No, it can't be." That name lived in every Terran legend, the lost ship of the first human-alien alliance, said to have vanished during the early wars. No one had ever proved it was real. Many believed it was destroyed in the first galactic uprising, but some stories said it had disappeared after saving both sides from annihilation. Ara looked at the glowing letters again, her pulse quickening. "Rix, record everything, timestamp this moment," she said. Her voice trembled, half from excitement, half from fear. The air grew colder, the wind stopped moving, and the sand around the buried hull began to shift on its own. The ground rumbled softly under her boots, like something beneath the desert had taken a breath after a long, long sleep. "Dr. Voss," Rix said. "Energy spike detected, source, directly below us." She stepped back as a low hum filled the valley. The glow from the markings grew stronger, spreading like veins of light through the sand. Her visor displayed radiation warnings, but she didn't move. She couldn't. It felt like the ship was watching her, recognizing her presence. A flash of light cut through the night sky. Distant shapes appeared on the horizon, small dark drones flying low, fast and coordinated. Someone else had detected the signal. "Unidentified craft incoming," Rix warned. "Estimate 20 combat units." Ilara's heart raced. "We're not alone," she said. Her hand reached for her blaster, though she knew it was useless against machines that fast. The hum deepened, turning into a pulse that echoed through her chest. Then a voice, deep and ancient, vibrated in the air. "Who calls upon Valor 01? Ilara froze, looking around. The voice wasn't coming from her comms. It was inside the ground, inside the metal, inside her own mind. She took a step closer to the glowing hull. "This is Dr. Ilara Voss, human archaeologist," she said, her voice shaking. "Who are you?" The hum grew louder. Then the voice came again, softer this time, but filled with power. "You carry the blood of the Builders, the legacy of the Alliance. You are known." Rix beeped wildly. "Dr. Voss, this is impossible. No transmitter, no AI network. The voice is emanating from the ship itself, the approaches." G-drones opened fire, red beams slicing through the sand, explosions scattering rocks and dust. Ilara dove for cover behind the half-buried hull. Rix's shields flared blue, sparks flying. Then the ground exploded with light. The buried ship came alive, glowing from its core. A single energy wave burst outward, and every attacking drone vanished, erased in a silent flash, not destroyed but completely disintegrated. The air went still again. The sand settled. Only the faint hum of the awakened starship remained. Ilara rose slowly, dust covering her suit. Her voice was barely a whisper. "It protected me." Rix hovered close. "Confirmed. Targeting systems reactivated. The ship identified you as friendly." Ilara looked at the giant hull, her reflection shining in the glowing metal. "Valor 01, you're real," she said softly. "And you're alive." Above the desert, hidden satellites turned their cameras toward the site, transmitting the awakening across encrypted galactic channels. Far away, in dark control rooms and alien war councils, alarms began to sound. The name Valor-01 echoed through systems that had not spoken of it in millennia, because everyone knew the story, and everyone knew what it meant. If Valor-01 had awakened, then the galaxy's forgotten war was about to begin again. The awakening code. The desert was silent again, only the glowing hull of the buried ship pulsing like a giant heartbeat under the sand. Dr. Ilara Voss stood still, her breath fogging the inside of her visor. She could feel the hum vibrating through her boots, gentle yet alive, as if the ship itself remembered her touch. Rix hovered close, scanning the wreck. Energy core stabilizing, it reported. But new signals are forming deep inside. Patterns look like communication, possibly language. Ilara stared at the flickering runes spreading along the metal. They were rearranging into sentences, glowing lines that twisted into words both alien and human. It was like the ship was writing a message directly for her. Access recognized. Dr. Ilara Voss, descendant of Project Unity. Her pulse jumped. Project Unity, she whispered. That was a name buried in restricted Terran archives, a secret alliance between humans and the first alien empire that ever befriended Earth. The project was said to have ended in betrayal. No one ever knew how. Rix, she said, run genetic verification. The drone beeped. Processing, 1 moment, then paused. Result confirmed, genetic match to Commander Voss of Valor-01, probability 99.8%. Ilara froze. Her great-grandmother, Commander Rhea Voss, had been one of the first Terran officers to lead the Unity fleet. She was listed missing in action, presumed dead. Her voice trembled. Rix, are you saying the ship knows who I am because of her? Affirmative, the drone replied. The system recognized your DNA as legacy code. The hull brightened again, and a doorway began to form, dust falling away as panels slid open with slow precision. Warm light spilled out, revealing a corridor descending into the buried depths. Ilara's curiosity overpowered her fear. We're going in, she said. Rix circled nervously. Internal power active, unknown defenses may remain. She smiled faintly. If it wanted to kill me, it already could have. Step by step, she entered the corridor. The floor smooth like obsidian, symbols moved along the walls like flowing water, reacting to her presence. The air was clean, faintly metallic, and filled with a strange hum like a heartbeat synced with her own. At the end of the passage, she found a chamber, circular and tall. In its center, a crystal sphere floated above a pedestal of light. Within it, glowing softly, was the image of a human face. No, not human exactly. Something between human and alien, noble and sorrowful. The voice came again, echoing through her mind. You carry her blood, the last of Unity's line. Ilara's knees weakened. Who are you? She whispered. I am Valor-01, warship of the First Peace, guardian of the Forgotten Oath, the voice said, each word deep and resonant. Your ancestor built me with the Zyran High Forge to end the First War. When betrayal came, I sealed myself here, waiting for her blood to return. Ilara's eyes widened. The Zyrans? But they're extinct. The lights flickered, showing holograms across the walls. Ancient battles, fleets burning, humans and aliens fighting side by side against an unseen enemy. At the center of it all stood a figure who looked like Rhea Voss, her uniform torn, her eyes fierce, commanding the Alliance to retreat while Valor-01 shielded them. Ilara reached toward the hologram, whispering, Grandmother. The ship's voice softened. She fell defending the code. She believed that one day her line would awaken me again. Rix hovered closer to the sphere. Dr. Voss, the data inside this core could rewrite everything the galaxy believes about the Unity War. But then alarms sounded, red lights flashed through the corridor. External contacts detected, Rix warned. Multiple signals approaching, signature unknown but military. They must have tracked the activation pulse. Ilara clenched her jaw. Whoever they are, they don't want history uncovered. The ship responded before she could act. Shall I defend? Elara hesitated. Defend? You can still fight? The voice deepened. My weapons may sleep, but the memory of war never dies. Outside, above the dunes, shadows crossed the stars. Dark ships descended through the atmosphere, their engines roaring like thunder. They carried the emblem of the Galactic Preserve, the same government that once banned human weapon technology. Rix, she said quickly, send a distress call to the Terran embassy. No signal, the drone replied, jammed across all bands. The ceiling shook, sand falling from above as explosions echoed. Elara turned. To the sphere. Valor 01, I need your help. They'll destroy everything. The light surged, the voice thundered through the chamber. Then let them remember why they feared humanity. Energy surged through the ship. The floor vibrated, the ground above began to split. Huge plates of metal pushed through the sand, revealing cannons, armor, and wings the size of cities. Rix's tone turned urgent. Dr. Voss, the ship is reassembling. It's rebuilding itself. Elara's heart raced. It's waking up. Outside, the alien gunships halted mid-air, their pilots watching in terror as the desert cracked open and a colossal figure rose from beneath the earth. For the first time in thousands of years, the ship named Valor 01 lifted its head toward the sky, its engines glowing blue like twin suns. Elara stood at the center of the awakening, the air trembling around her. The ship's voice whispered once more, Welcome home, descendant of Rhea Voss. The war has not ended, it only slept. The desert erupted in light, and the galaxy would soon learn that humanity's forgotten legacy was no longer buried. The return of Valor Z01. The sky of Tau 13 split like cracked glass. Sandstorms twisted into the air as the massive shape of Valor 01 rose from the desert, engines burning with ancient blue light. The ship's hull shimmered under the dying sun, its surface alive with energy lines like glowing veins. Every piece of sand that clung to it turned to dust. Every whisper of wind bent away, as if the planet itself bowed before the forgotten warship. Dr. Elara Voss stood at the center of the command chamber, light reflecting across her visor, her heart pounding in her chest. Rix hovered close, its sensors flickering. Dr. Voss, atmospheric scans indicate orbital satellites are turning toward us, multiple factions now tracking our position. Elara's throat tightened. Then the galaxy knows, she said softly. Valor 01's deep voice rolled through the chamber like thunder. They always feared my return. They erased my name from history. But memory cannot die. Above them, the alien gunships of the Galactic Preserve circled nervously, their pilots shouting through encrypted channels. Unidentified warship detected, massive energy spike. This cannot be human design. They fired a warning volley, beams of plasma striking Valor 01's hull. The blasts vanished harmlessly, absorbed into the armor like pebbles against a mountain. The ship's lights grew brighter, its shadow covering the desert like a storm. Elara gripped the railing as the floor hummed under her boots. Valor, no attacks unless necessary, she ordered. Acknowledged, the ship answered, its tone calm. But beneath that calmness was something else, restraint. The patience of a giant remembering how to breathe. Suddenly, holographic screens appeared around Elara, projecting real-time feeds from across the sector. News bursts lit the networks. Ancient Terran vessel reactivated. Unknown energy signature from Dead World. Galactic Preserve forces engaged with human artifact. And somewhere deep in the Terran core worlds, alarms began to sound. In the capital of the Galactic Council, alien diplomats shouted over each other. The Death Worlders have awakened their warship. They promised their weapons were dismantled. If Valor 01 truly exists, it violates every peace treaty we signed. Panic spread through the stars faster than light. Back on Tau 13, Elara moved toward the main console, her gloves brushing over symbols that changed beneath her touch. Valor, show me your last memory before you went dormant, she said. The chamber darkened, and suddenly the air filled with light. A holographic scene unfolded before her eyes. She saw fleets burning in the void, human and alien ships fighting side by side. Then a betrayal, a flash of treachery. An alien flagship turned its guns on the Terran line, destroying their allies, her ancestor, Commander Rhea Voss, a appeared on the bridge, shouting orders as the betrayal spread. She sealed Valor 01's core, ordering the ship to protect the secret code, the awakening protocol. Then her voice faded into static, her body vanishing in a burst of light. Alara's eyes filled with tears. "She didn't die," she whispered. "She became part of you." The ship's voice softened. "Her mind was uploaded into my memory. She is within me still." Alara felt her breath catch. "Then I'm not just talking to a machine." "No," Valor said. "You speak to the echo of your bloodline." Before she could answer, Rix interrupted. "Dr. Voss, incoming fleet detected. They're dropping out of hyperspace near orbit. 70 ships, all bearing the Galactic Preserve insignia." Alara looked up through the transparent dome of the command deck. Stars blinked out as the fleet formed a blockade, their lights forming a cage around the planet. "Valor," she said quietly, "can we survive that?" "Yes," the ship rumbled, "but you will not like what survival costs." "Do it," she whispered. "Show them who we are." The ground split open wider, and enormous spires rose from the sand. Energy cannons taller than mountains, a deep vibration shook the air, followed by a sound like thunder tearing through the heavens. The first wave of enemy ships fired their plasma volleys, hundreds of blue beams raining down on Tau 13. Valor 01 didn't move. Its shields shimmered like an aurora, absorbing the energy, converting it, storing it. Then, with a low growl, the warship released that same energy back tenfold. A single pulse shot upward, cutting through the enemy formation. Half the fleet disintegrated instantly, the rest scattered in panic. "Impossible!" shouted alien commanders across the channels. "That power, it's forbidden technology." The name Valor 01 appeared on every galactic feed again, and every race that once fought humanity remembered the stories of a ship that ended wars, of a crew that vanished into legend. Alara held onto the console as the echoes faded, her voice soft. "Valor, the galaxy will see this as an act of war." "Then let them remember what peace cost us," the ship replied. She looked at the endless sky and felt something awaken in her too. Not just fear, but pride, the kind her ancestors once carried when Earth was still young. Rix hovered silently beside her. "Dr. Voss, you realize what this means?" She nodded slowly. "Yes, the galaxy buried our history, but we just dug it up." In that moment, the warship's engines flared brighter, forming a path through the storm. The sand melted into glass beneath it, and from orbit, every watcher, every alien, every government that feared the return of the Deathworlders saw one truth rising from the desert. Echoes of the First War. The stars over Tau 13 still burned from the battle, drifting embers of shattered ships floating like dying fireflies. In orbit, the wreckage of the Galactic Preserve fleet spun slowly, their distress signals echoing across the void, across the galaxy. Every government, every race, every council chamber went silent because the impossible had happened. The Deathworlders had returned, and their ancient godship breathed again. Dr. Alara Voss stood on the command deck of Valor 01, the ship's hum surrounding her like a living heartbeat. Her visor reflected the blue glow of the ship's systems, her thoughts spinning with questions that had no easy answers. Why was she chosen? Why was her bloodline the key? Why had the galaxy buried this truth? Rix floated beside her, its lights flickering nervously. "Dr. Voss, incoming communications from multiple frequencies," it said. "They are demanding identification and surrender." Alara gave a tired half-smile. "Surrender," she whispered, "to history itself." The main screen filled with holograms, alien faces flickering into view, members of the Galactic Council, their voices overlapped in chaos. "Human, you've activated a banned relic. That ship is a war crime under every galactic treaty. You will shut it down, or we will erase your world." Alara stared at them calmly, her eyes hard. "This ship saved your ancestors," she said quietly, "and you buried it like shame." The aliens hesitated, their anger faltering. Valor's voice filled the chamber, deep and resonant. "Counselors of the Preserve, Your fear built my grave. Your lies kept peace by hiding truth. The aliens froze. The sound of the warship speaking shook the air around them. You broke the unity oath, and for your betrayal, 1,000 worlds burned. The connection cut abruptly. The council vanished from the screen. Rick's word uneasily. They'll send more fleets. Alara nodded. Let them. They'll only prove the truth. The ship dimmed slightly, its tone lowering. Alara, before the war began, they were our allies. They came to Earth with promises of peace. But they feared our resilience, our evolution, our speed of learning. Holograms filled the air again, showing humans and aliens shaking hands, then turning on each other. When they could not defeat us, they rewrote history. They said humanity destroyed itself. Alara's heart ached. And you buried yourself to protect them from their own guilt. No, Valor said. I buried myself to protect humanity's last secret. The holograms changed again, showing a vault deep within the ship, guarded by layers of locked code. Project Legacy, Valor said. Your ancestor created it before her death, and now it waits for you. Alara stepped forward, the floor lighting up beneath her boots. Unlock it, she said, her voice steady but her hands trembling. Authorization confirmed, the ship answered. The chamber around her shifted, the walls sliding open to reveal an inner core, a floating capsule of shimmering light. Inside it were images, blueprints, and data. Streams of human ships unlike any she had seen before. Their hulls were carved from the same living alloy as Valor 01, their designs built for deep space survival. Hundreds of them hidden beyond charted systems forgotten by everyone but this ship, Alara whispered. They survived. Yes, Valor replied. They fled beyond the rim, waiting for the signal of my awakening. Rick's beeped rapidly. Transmission detected, multiple pings from the outer frontier, encrypted with Terran frequency. Alara's breath caught. They heard us. Across the stars, on dead worlds and forgotten stations, hidden Terran beacons blinked to life. Ships buried under ice, under mountains, under oceans, began to stir. Engines that had slept for millennia warmed again, answering the ancient call. Far away, alien fleets watched in horror as thousands of faint signals appeared on their long-range scanners, each one marked with the same code, Valor Protocol active. In the council chambers, panic broke out. The humans are waking up. They were supposed to be extinct. They lied to us. No, said one old alien quietly. We lied to ourselves. Back aboard Valor 01, Alara stood speechless as she watched stars light up across the galaxy, each one marking a returning ship, a voice from the past. Her ancestors' dream, the Unity fleet, was alive again. Rix's voice trembled. Dr. Voss, if they all awaken, this could change everything. Alliances, borders, the entire balance of power. Alara's eyes glowed with reflection from the star map. Then let it change. The truth has slept long enough. Valor's tone deepened. The first war ended without victory, but the second will not. Alara looked out into the void, where faint human lights began to move toward the inner galaxy. She whispered, The galaxy thought we were gone, but we were only waiting. And far beyond the rim, in the cold darkness where the forgotten human fleets began to rise, a single transmission echoed from Valor 01 to every ship bearing the old Terran seal. This is Valor 01, the Legacy Awaken. Yes, the Deathworlders return. The stars flickered in response, and across alien space, panic turned to fear, because every empire knew what history had tried to forget. When humanity returns, the galaxy burns. The Legacy Awakens. Deep in the void between stars, signals traveled faster than light, invisible chains of code linking one silent giant to another. From frozen moons to abandoned asteroid docks, ancient Terran warships began to stir. Engines that had not burned for 10,000 years ignited once more, bathing the darkness in blue fire. Each one answered the same call. A voice from Valor 01, the mother of them all. Dr. Alara Voss stood in the center of Valor's command bridge, her eyes fixed on the holographic star map. Tiny dots of light spread across the galaxy like awakening embers. Rix hovered near her shoulder, voice trembling with excitement. Dr. Voss, confirmations from multiple sectors, over 200 Terran vessels online. More are still waking. Ilara's voice was soft but steady. They were never gone. They were waiting for me to find them. Valor's deep voice echoed through the chamber. They were waiting for blood that carried her code, the code of Commander Rhea Voss. The name filled Ilara with both pride and fear. The thought that her grandmother's legacy had outlived empires, outlasted entire species, made her chest tighten. Across the galaxy, alien governments went into lockdown. War councils gathered, fleets mobilized, and propaganda spread fast. The Death Worlders have returned, the headlines screamed. Old scars reopened, old nightmares whispered again. On the bridge of the alien flagship Seraphis Prime, High Consul Tarek watched the reports in silence. He had studied human history all his life, the wars, the chaos, the fire. But what terrified him most was not their technology. It was their will. They will not fight to rule, he said quietly to his generals. They will fight because they remember. Back on Tau 13, the ground trembled once again as Valor 01's engines reached full capacity. The desert beneath melted into glass, and the massive ship slowly lifted into orbit. The stars opened before them like an ocean, and for the first time in millennia, Valor returned to the sky. Ilara gazed at the stars, her voice filled with wonder. All my life I searched for history, but now I am standing inside it. Rix beeped softly. Correction, Dr. Voss, you are rewriting it. Suddenly the ship's sensors flared. Incoming transmission, Rix said. Origin, Terran Fleet Beacon. The screen flickered, static forming into a symbol, a black circle crossed by 7 white stars, the emblem of the old Terran Unity Command. Then a voice came through, rough and distorted, but human. This is Admiral Cassian Holt, commanding officer of the Ark Fleet. We received your signal. Valor 01, is that truly you? Ilara's breath caught. Admiral Holt, she whispered. He was listed missing 5,000 years ago. Valor responded. It is I, Valor 01. Awakening protocol complete. The legacy continues. There was a long silence on the line. Then laughter, tired but proud. By the stars, the Admiral said. I thought we were ghosts. But you brought us back, Commander. Ilara blinked. Commander? Valor's voice filled the air again. Designation transferred, Dr. Ilara Voss. Descendant of Rhea Voss, you now command the Valor Network. The bridge lights pulsed around her, the ancient ship recognizing its new leader. Ilara stood frozen, her hands trembling slightly. I'm not a soldier, she said softly. Neither was she at first, Valor replied. But destiny does not wait for permission. Outside the viewport, new lights began to appear. The Terran fleets were arriving, massive dreadnoughts shaped like floating fortresses, cruisers moving in perfect formation, their hulls marked with the same insignia. The sight stole Ilara's breath. Hundreds of ships, rising from every forgotten corner of the galaxy, all turning their bows toward Tau 13, toward her. Rix hovered beside her, its voice barely a whisper. Humanity never died, it just went quiet. Ilara smiled faintly. And now, we make them listen. The main screen filled with faces, old, scarred, some human, some hybrid, soldiers and captains from every corner of the Forgotten Alliance. They spoke as one, their voices merging across light years. For unity, they said. For Earth. Valor's engines roared, and the entire fleet echoed the sound, a thunder across the stars. In the council chambers, alien leaders watched the rising storm with dread. What do we do now? One whispered. Another answered quietly. Pray that they still remember mercy. Ilara stepped forward, her reflection glowing in the light of 1,000 ships. Transmit to all channels, she said, her voice steady. To every world that forgot us, every race that buried our name, every empire that feared our rise. She paused, eyes burning with purpose. This is not war, she said. This is remembrance, Humanity has awakened, and the galaxy will remember who we are. The signal spread across the stars. Every empire, every colony, every creature that once mocked the humans saw the same image. A single Terran woman standing aboard a god ship older than the stars, behind her a fleet stretching to infinity, and in that moment, the galaxy realized what the legends had always meant. Deathworlders do not fade, they return, and when they rise, the stars themselves bow, the Galactic Rebellion. The stars themselves seemed to tremble. In every corner of the galaxy, governments screamed orders, fleets moved, and fear crawled through the light years. The name Valor 01 was spoken like a curse and a prayer at once. Dr. Alara Voss. Now, Commander. Alara Voss stood on the bridge, the blue glow of consoles reflecting in her eyes. Outside the viewport, hundreds of Terran ships floated in formation, their hulls marked by centuries of dust and pride. Each ship was a story, each engine a promise that humanity would never vanish again. Rix hovered near her shoulder, voice quieter than usual. Commander, long-range scans confirm heavy mobilization. The Council is gathering a coalition fleet, more than 4,000 ships. They are calling it the Containment Armada. Alara exhaled slowly. Containment, she repeated. That's what they called it the first time, too. Valor's voice rolled like distant thunder. History repeats because they refuse to remember. The ship dimmed its internal lights, revealing the faint silhouette of Rhea Voss, Alara's ancestor, standing beside her in holographic form. They feared us because we made them equal, the hologram said. Now you must show them balance once more. Alara swallowed hard. Grandmother, she whispered, I don't want to start another war. You aren't, the hologram replied. You are ending the first one that never truly stopped. On the edge of the Terran frontier, the first enemy fleet appeared. Vast, metallic creatures shaped like floating cities, their armor burning with plasma veins. They sent a single transmission, cold and final. Return to silence, Deathworlders. The galaxy does not need your chaos. Alara's jaw tightened. They never understand, do they? Valor answered. They will. The Terran fleet shifted formation, colossal warships sliding into place like puzzle pieces. Rix's lights blinked red. All systems armed, weapon banks synchronized, energy cores at 100%. Alara stood at the center of the command ring, light circling her boots, her heart steady as iron. She lifted her hand. All ships, defensive posture, we will not fire first. But the aliens did. The sky erupted in fire, beams of plasma tearing through the void, colliding with Valor's shields in blinding waves. The air on the bridge vibrated with sound, energy screaming through the ship's veins. Rix's voice rose. Shields holding, minimal impact. Alara's voice remained calm. Good. Now show them restraint is not weakness. Valor's cannons turned silently. No anger, no chaos, only precision. A single beam of blue energy flashed across the void, slicing through a dozen enemy warships in one motion. No debris, no explosion, just silence. Across the Terran network, captains watched and waited. Then Valor's command echoed through every ship. Engage with discipline, fight with purpose, no cruelty, only remembrance. The stars filled with motion, Terran destroyers weaved through alien formations, disabling weapons without killing crews. Interceptor wings danced like streaks of light cutting through missiles before they reached their targets. The galaxy watched in awe as the humans fought not with rage but with control. They were not monsters, they were masters of restraint. Hours passed. The alien armada began to crumble, their commanders overwhelmed by tactics they could not predict. Alara watched the final enemy ships retreat toward the outer rim, their signals screaming for ceasefire. Rix's tone softened. They are fleeing, Commander. Alara nodded slowly. Then let them go. Today we reminded them what we are, not what they feared. In the council chambers, chaos erupted. Some demanded another attack, others begged for peace, but one alien elder whispered the truth. They could have destroyed us, but they didn't. And that silence spread faster than any weapon ever built. Back aboard Valor 01, the ship's hum softened. Ilara stood before the hologram of her ancestor. "I thought victory meant destruction," she said quietly. "But maybe it means mercy." The hologram smiled faintly. "Mercy is the sharpest weapon of all." Outside, thousands of Terran ships drifted together, their lights painting the darkness silver. They were no longer forgotten ghosts of a dead species. They were humanity reborn, united not by vengeance, but by memory. Valor's voice spoke once more, deep and calm. "The galaxy has seen our strength. Now it must see our wisdom. The rebellion is not against them, it is against the silence itself." Ilara turned toward the stars, her reflection glowing against the viewport. "Then let the silence end," she whispered. "Let the galaxy hear us again." And as the last remnants of the alien armada disappeared into the dark, a signal pulsed across the universe, a calm human heartbeat, proof that the Deathworlders had never died. They had only been waiting for the right moment to rise, the oath of valor. The galaxy hung in silence. After the storm of battle, the stars glowed calm again, but beneath that calm, every world listened, from the shining towers of the Council worlds to the dark mines of forgotten colonies. Every species waited for what humanity would say next. Aboard Valor 01, the air felt different, almost alive. Dr. Ilara Voss, now commander of the reborn Terran fleet, stood at the heart of the ship, light rippling across her armor. Around her, holograms of hundreds of captains flickered to life, faces old and young, human and hybrid, all waiting for her word. Rix hovered beside her shoulder, its small frame steady after all the chaos. "Commander, communications ready," it said softly. "Every system, every ship, every watcher is listening." Ilara's fingers brushed the console, her pulse steady, her mind full of 1,000 voices from the past. Her grandmother's memory still echoed through Valor's core, proud and patient. Valor spoke first, its voice deep and solemn. "You are about to give the first Terran order in 10,000 years. Make it worthy of the stars." Ilara smiled faintly. "I will." The transmission went live. Across the galaxy, every display, every comlink, every broadcast feed shifted to her image. A lone woman standing aboard a god ship older than empires. Behind her, the Terran fleet stretched like an ocean of silver light. She drew a slow breath and spoke, her voice calm, each word heavy with truth. "People of the galaxy, you remember us as monsters, destroyers, Deathworlders." Her eyes burned bright. "But you forget the part that mattered most. We built, we healed, we hoped." The silence on every world deepened. No one dared interrupt. "We did not return to conquer," she continued. "We returned to remember. Your histories erased our names, your councils buried our deeds, but the stars never forgot." She turned slightly, gesturing to the window where Valor's hull shimmered like a living flame. "This ship is not a weapon, it is a promise." Valor's voice joined hers, resonating across every frequency. A promise forged in unity, betrayed in fear, and reborn in truth. Ilara lifted her hand, and the holographic map of the galaxy unfolded around her. Each human fleet marked in light, not moving toward war, but spreading across empty sectors, planting signals, rebuilding lost colonies, reconnecting ancient outposts. "We will rebuild where others abandoned," she said. "We will defend where others exploited. We will teach what was lost." Her tone hardened slightly, steel beneath compassion. "But if anyone raises chains again, if anyone thinks the old fear will silence us, remember Tau 13. Remember Valor 01. Remember that Deathworlders endure." Her final words carried like thunder through the void. "This is our oath, the oath of valor. Humanity will not rule, humanity will stand, and the galaxy will rise with us, or fall trying." For a long moment, nothing moved. Then, one by one, responses began to pour through the channels. On distant human outposts, voices shouted, "For valor!" In alien colonies, quiet cheers rose from those who had once been. Oppressed by the council, even in the council chambers, a few of the youngest delegates stood silently, unsure whether they were witnessing an ending or a beginning. Rix's sensors glowed softly. Commander, transmissions increasing exponentially, millions of systems acknowledging the signal. Alara exhaled, her voice almost a whisper. Then it has begun. Outside, the Terran fleet began to move. Not toward destruction, but toward the unknown. Each ship left trails of blue light across the dark, carving a path of remembrance through the stars. Valor 01 led them, its engines burning like the first sunrise after a long night. The hologram of Rhea Voss appeared beside Alara one last time, her expression proud. "You finished what I started," she said. "You gave humanity back its name." Alara smiled faintly. "No," she whispered. "You gave it to me." The hologram faded into light, merging with the ship once more. Valor's voice filled the bridge, deep and calm. "Course set, destination. The uncharted worlds." Alara nodded. "Engage." The engines roared, shaking the void. The fleet stretched forward, crossing the horizon of known space, their formation glowing brighter than any constellation, and somewhere far behind them, on the quiet worlds that once feared humanity, children would look up at the night sky and whisper, "They're out there," they'd say. The Deathworlders who chose to protect instead of destroy. The legend of Valor 01 would pass through generations, not as the story of a weapon, but as the story of a promise kept, because humanity had learned the oldest truth of all. The stars do not belong to those who conquer them, they belong to those who remember, and with that oath, the galaxy entered a new dawn, lit not by fear but by hope. The oath of valor had been spoken, and the stars themselves bowed to it.